Sinn Fein councillor is convicted of public order offences. Friday the 9th of July 1999. A Sinn Fein councillor who accused Gardaí of beating him up after his arrest in O'Connell Street, Dublin, was yesterday convicted of public order offences. Matt Carthy, 21 years of age back then. How about that poem? He'd be about 40, about 45 now. He's getting on, no more than myself. Of Ballyclose, Carrickmacross, County Monaghan, who was elected last month to Carrickmacross Urban District Council. Oh, District Council, definitely a case for Hall's Pictorial Weekly. Had denied obstruction, breach of the peace, and failing to move on. He's moved on a bit since then into the European Parliament. And now the dawn. The charges arose out of an incident beside O'Connell Street taxi rank at 2:40 a.m. on November the 14th last. That would be 1998. So he and three other members of Young Sinn Fein, is that Ogre Sinn Fein? Ogre Sinn Fein, I don't know, were arrested when one of them, Pierce Doherty, 21, that's the Barrel Pierce, Waverley Avenue, Fairview, Dublin. Oh, he has a house in Dublin. I thought he lived in Donegal. Waverley Avenue, is that a swanky area? Oh, Waverley Avenue, Fairview, Dublin. Called a Gardaí investigating a nearby traffic accident an abusive name. He called him an abusive name. It doesn't say what the name was. He's from Donegal. Around here, there are several abusive terms. Oh, yeah, who are you? Don't use that in Donegal. Don't know what else. I don't know. I know several some up there, but I don't know what abuse. How to do? Think to do. Anytime they abuse me, they do it in Gaelic, and I don't know what they're saying. The Garda demanded his name and address. Give me your name. I want your name and address here, Bucko. I want your name. Get out my notebook. Name and address. Right? He demanded his name and address. And he refused to give it. He said if he refused to give it, he'd arrest him. So what it says here, the Garda demanded his name and address. And when he refused to give it, he tried to arrest. Oh, he tried to arrest him. Come on. Well, there was three of them. It was rough. It was rough going. Carthy then intervened. Oh, he couldn't mind his own business. He stuck his nose in too. Along with two other friends, Lynn Gallagher. I wonder was that a girl or a boy? I don't know. She was 18 or he was 18. Clare Road, Crumlin. And Francis Costigan, 19 years of age, Bushfield Grove, Clondalkin. Oh, there was none of your gouger areas here. Oh, they were all out in Waverley Road and Bushfield Grove. Oh my God, and Clare Road, Crumlin. None of your old low class crowd there. I'll tell you, we're all mixed up with big company yuppies. They were all yuppies. Claimed they were beaten by Gardaí, who knew they were members of Young Sinn Fein. And the earlier Sinn Feiners got a beating at the H block by the Gardaí. They probably probably heard that at the breakfast table. Anyway, none of this old crack taken now, I'm telling you. Now, there were probably two other people present as well. Maybe three. John Power and son. Mrs. Smirnoff. And Arthur Guinness. I tell you, when they get behind me, and even yet there could be a bit of a punch up. It's not been unknown in the town if I get rattled. A bit of a racket. So I can't throw stones from a glass house myself. You know that stuff. There's something in it. Something about that bloody whiskey and porter. Judge Gerard Hawken. I think he's a High Court judge now. He's been a District Court judge then. So they were brought before the assizes. I'll tell you, no guards are strict that time. There was law enforcement that time. Convicted the four. He convicted them. But because they were young, and in fairness they were young, and I tell you, I know Matt Carthy, you know what, he's not a bad fella at all. He's not a bad fella. You know what, so Pierce Doherty, sir, he's fierce boy, fierce well up in Sinn Fein now. He could be the Minister for Justice and lock me up. He could have the key to my cell. So anyway, previous convictions. Now, he said the four, because they were young and they had no previous convictions, he dismissed the charges under the Probation Act. That's a British act. That act is 1921. I don't think that should have been recognised as British act. He dismissed it under the Probation Act, so they would not have a criminal record. I think he done the right thing. Comment underneath. I think he done the right thing. But we'll give you a bit of a nick now. None of this stuff going to be tolerated. Costigan, the only one who was working. It reminds me of the time that Bin Laden, you remember that Osama Bin Laden, was it Osama Bin Laden? They went over looking for him, the Yanks, and they found a lot of people there that could find the lads that had been gambling, that had been drinking, that had been smoking drugs, that had been taking cannabis, cocaine. They could find lads that was doing all kinds of different, but they could never find anyone that had been working. Of all of them, there was nobody at all that was been working. So there was one out of four of them working. Now it has to be said here, these were all only gossips. I mean, could be a school or this. Anyway, we can't help but having a poker. Now, the only one who was working had to pay £107. That's not euros now. That's 107. That could be you multiply it by 1.27 to the Garda Benevolent Fund. I tell you, that was a good place to put it, all right. Judge Houghton. He's a High Court judge now, I think, if he's the same fella. Said he totally rejected claims that the Gardaí set upon them because they were members of Sinn Fein. How would you know, like, looking at them, in all fairness now, did they have a badge up or so? I don't know. If that was the case, he reasoned. If they were members of Sinn Fein and that's why they sell them, he said, if that's the case, there would have been little point in any Garda asking them to leave the area. Look, you see the genius that comes in the legal profession. I mean, if the Gardaí wanted to arrest them because they were Sinn Feiners, he'd hardly say, will you go home peacefully, boys? You know, he'd hardly say that. They would have been arrested on the spot. On the spot. This Dublin District Court heard that the three who intervened, including Carty, were asked to leave the area a number of times while Doherty was being questioned, but they refused to do so. So actually this is a traffic accident. I wonder, they were hardly involved. Well, why were they getting involved in the traffic accident? The guard that was taking down notes at the traffic accident, somebody ran up, somebody back in, let's say, and I tell you, I don't know why, but maybe it was a political accident, you see. It could have been, it was very highly charged times like that time. They protest now, being questioned now. Carty asked to leave a number of times while Doherty was being questioned, but they refused to do so. So while the guard was asking Doherty questions, give me your name and address there now, and who are you? Carty intervened. You mind my friend, leave my friend alone. Well, you can't say he wasn't loyal, in fairness to him. Right? We're not being directed. Now, he protested that Doherty's remarks were not being directed at the Gardaí, you see, but that they were the result of a simple misunderstanding. Now, do you see the difference? See, Carty misunderstood. That's an unbelievably big word. I'd say in Donegal they never heard of that word before. I don't know. All four of them were arrested, and a Garda van arrived to take them to Store Street. Down to Store Street. My word. Now, I can't help thinking of that old song that used to be played when there was real radio. And I would give it a go. Johnny McEldew. We give it a go. The sun lets me read. There was Johnny McEldew and McGee and me and a couple of two or three were on the spree one day. We had a bob or two which we knew how to blew, and the beer and whiskey flew and we all felt gay. We visited McCann's, Mackelman's, Humpty Dan's. We then went into Swan's, our stomachs for to pack. We ordered out and feed, which indeed we did need, and we finished it with speed, but we still felt slack. Johnny McEldew turned red, white and blue as a plate of Irish stew. He soon put out of sight. He shouted out encore with a roar for some more, and you never seen before such a keen appetite. He ordered eggs and ham, bread and jam, for to ram, but him we couldn't cram, though we tried our level best. Everything we brought, cold or hot, cold or hot. Everything we brought, cold or hot, it mattered not. It went down him like a shot, but he still stood the test. The waiter brought the charge, McEldew felt so large, he began to scowl and barge, and his blood went on fire. He began to tear his hair in despair, and to finish the affair, called the shopman a liar. The shopman he'd the rout, and no doubt he could clout McEldew. He kicked about like an old football. He tattered all his clothes, broke his nose. I suppose he'd have killed him in a few blows, with a few blows in no time at all. McEldew began to howl and to growl on me soul, and he threw an empty bowl at the shopkeeper's head. It hit poor Mickey Flynn on the chin with a grin, and the ructions did begin, and we all fought and bled. The peelers did arrive, man alive, 4 or 5, and a dust made a drive for to cart us all away. We paid for all the meat that we ate, stood the threat, and went home to ruminate on the spree that day. The voices of the town, they wouldn't like to hear that now, but they're going to hear it. Anyway, the thing about it is, it's a bit of crack, and we were all young once. We're all young once, and everyone survived to tell the tale, and I got making the video. Folks, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Oh, boys, oh, boys. Boys, oh, boys.